up, Taiwan? I'm Olivier with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. South Korean President Yoon Yeol has been released from detention after a court in Seoul found issues with his arrest and indictment. Cadence Quaranto reports.
Walking free, impeached South Korean President Yoon Yeol leaves detention after more than 50 days. He was being held on charges of leading an insurrection after a short-lived attempt to impose martial law. But the Seoul Central District Court found issues with the timing of his arrest and indictment in January and declared his detention illegal. Prosecutors aren't challenging the decision. In a Facebook post, Yoon thanked the court for its courage and determination, as well as his supporters, who've been holding rallies throughout Seoul since he was arrested. And on the day of his release, some gathered to greet him.
오랫동안 기다리면서 빨리 못 나오셔서 굉장히 안타깝고 너무 힘들게 기다렸는데요. 그래도 기다렸다는 보람이 굉장히 많았고요. 그다음에 직접 한 2m 앞에서 대통령님 딱 뵈는데 눈물이 나오면서 나도 모르게 막 고함이 질러지고 너무 반갑고.
But Yoon's still facing insurrection charges, part of an ongoing criminal trial. Yoon declared martial law in December last year, sending troops to the legislature and leaving many in South Korea horrified. The order was reversed by lawmakers within hours, but it created political turmoil and division, setting off months of protests from both opponents and supporters of Yoon. And it led lawmakers to vote for his impeachment. The decision on whether to remove him from office now rests with the country's constitutional court. For now, Yoon's release simply means he can wait out his criminal and impeachment trials from home. The embattled leader's legal and political fate still all but certain. Howard Jung and Cadence Quaranto for TaiwanPlus.
A South Korean defense expert says the North's plan to develop a nuclear-powered submarine poses a threat to both Seoul and Washington. Moon Kun-sik, a Hanyang University professor, says the vessel under construction looks fit to carry around 10 ballistic missiles. North Korean state media revealed images of the prototype on Saturday, the first time the country has shown such a submarine. It's thought North Korea may be getting technical help from Russia in exchange for supplying troops for Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Several Taiwanese celebrities are facing anger at home for reposting pro-unification messages on China's Weibo social media platform. The posts refer to Taiwan as a province of China. Former fans from Taiwan are voicing anger on these performers' other social media platforms, but there could be legal consequences as well as backlash. The government says it will look into whether these actors and singers broke the law governing Taiwan-China ties. Power prices may soon surge for residents and small businesses as the state-run electric company struggles with years of heavy losses. As John Van Trieste reports, whether the hikes go through now hinges on one key factor.
At Mr. Xie's small Taipei eatery, there's a bit of worry in the air. Mr. Xie is already squeezed by rent and gas bills, and now there's talk small businesses like his could see power bills jump 25% overnight. State-run electric company Taipower is in bad financial shape, with losses of over $1 billion over the past 3 years. The money to keep the power flowing needs to come from somewhere. And while price hikes for bigger industrial users have so far been a focus of attention, smaller customers, those who use less than 330 kilowatt hours, could soon be hit hard too. At a time of rising living costs, including power price hikes last year, this is worrying for Mr. Xie.
很贵，对呀，都严重到像我的店啊，夏天的7000，冬天是差3000块。你夏天已经把我们加钱了，又不能调降。
So far, Taipower says it has no definite plans, but it needs to find a lot of funding fast. It would take an injection of $1.5 billion this year alone to break even. The key is an upcoming meeting of the board at the Economy Ministry that sets electricity rates, and whether it agrees to subsidize small users' power bills this year.
330度以下，现在确实是比成本便宜很多啊。 那能不能调，要不要调，电价方案怎么决定，那全部都是由审议委员会去决定。
If the idea of a rate hike for small users does go ahead, 13.5 million households will face higher bills, not to mention small businesses. But without the cash the company needs, economists say service could suffer. Some suggest a gradual price hike as a solution.
你为了要去补贴民生，那你叫这个企业价格定低一点合理，但是不应该叫这个企业来亏钱买嘛。让电价慢慢的回归，就是至少让它不亏损。我觉得这应该是可以努力的方向。
It could take time before the government has an answer. This has been a year of heated political arguments over government spending. And with no word on what its budget for this year might look like, Taipower is in limbo, with little to go on when it comes to planning pricing for the coming months. Eason Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. decision to pull military and intelligence support for Ukraine has left European leaders scrambling. With new talks between Washington and Kyiv set for next week in Saudi Arabia, Alec MacDonald spoke to Keir Giles from Chatham House about the EU's growing security concerns.
What is the United States under Donald Trump doing?
The United States has pulled the rug from under all of its alliances and partnerships around the world. There are two parallel processes ongoing. There is the Trump-Musk duopoly, the Trump-Musk junta, which is eviscerating the federal government in the United States itself. It's destroying all the systems that cause the United States to function as a country, while at the same time all of the international alliances and partnerships and even basic assumptions of friendly relations are being torpedoed at the same time. You have the United States not only cutting itself loose from standing against aggression in Europe, but also picking meaningless fights with its closest neighbors in North America, with Canada, Greenland, and Mexico. So it is a dual-track program of eliminating the United States as a force for stability and even as a functioning country within its own borders. And of course, from the very earliest stages of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, it's been clear to Europe that if a marker is not put down and aggression is not deterred in Europe, that, of course, will encourage other aggressors around the world.
What is the European security situation as far as projection from the European countries and the European Union? Can they provide right now a secure blanket of cover, a secure military coverage for the continent?
The United States has been complaining for decades that European countries have effectively outsourced much of their defense to the US. Their own militaries, their own armed forces have been hollowed out and lack many of the important enablers like logistics, supply, fuel, ammunition, etc., that would enable them to be realistic fighting forces without US support. And now that process has been cruelly exposed as the United States is threatening to pull the security blanket away altogether. That's left European leaders scrambling again because the realization has now hit home that the United States actually meant what it said. And that's why you have discussions ongoing at the moment across Europe about what exactly the continent could provide to ensure the security of Ukraine as the front line against aggression. And the conclusions they're coming to are not reassuring, precisely because there is so little military capacity left because of the assumption that the United States would always be there.
What have we learned more generally about the state of conflict in Europe 3 years now removed from the start of this war?
You've had a Russian army that took part in the initial invasion of Ukraine, which was effectively eviscerated, at least its land forces were, and has been rebuilt over the course of the conflict to fight an entirely different war than the ones that Russia first went into. But the fact that the Russian land forces have been gutted has distracted many European nations from the fact that Russia still has the power to strike at extremely long distances using its other forces. The Air Force with its bombers and missile carriers, the Navy with its warships, all carrying extremely long-range missiles. So Russia doesn't have to be adjacent to a country to cause it serious damage. And that means that those Western European countries that thought they were insulated from Russia by distance now have some serious calculations to do, particularly because when you look at it on a map, it seems that countries like Ireland, the United Kingdom, Spain are nowhere within reach of Russia. The trouble is the world is not flat, and Russia has practiced hard over many years, delivering damage around the world globally.
What is a realistic picture for the results of these negotiations between Russia and the United States?
It's important to bear in mind that there is not a peace process. This is not something that is actually going to work towards a durable peace, even if talks begin between the United States and Russia and what they both want to impose on Ukraine. Ukraine is currently faced with a situation where fighting on is better than being forced into a catastrophic peace arrangement. And it's even in a position where fighting on without its ally is preferable to those allies' terms, with the demands that the United States has placed on Ukraine for effectively access to the entirety of its mineral wealth for the indefinite future as a bill for past protection, let alone any future security guarantees. Ukraine has walked away because it knows that standing alone, with all the potentially disastrous consequences that that entails, is better than agreeing to the terms of a country that was supposed to be its closest backer.
That was Chatham House Senior Consulting Fellow Keir Giles. You can watch the full interview on Zoom In, Zoom Out by visiting the TaiwanPlus website. One person is dead and hundreds of thousands are without power after a tropical storm hit Australia's southeast coast. Originally a cyclone, Alfred weakened to a tropical low before making landfall in Queensland on Saturday. Strong winds and heavy rain knocked down trees and power lines, causing flooding in some areas. Cyclones are rare in this part of Australia. The last one tore through the region more than 50 years ago. Walk around any part of Taiwan and you'll be surrounded by a diversity of different building styles. A new documentary series is encouraging people to pay closer attention to the country's architecture and what it made it that way. Millie Hughes reports.
The Taiwanese identity is complex, with many powerful influences running throughout its history. Several of Taiwan's leading architects have created a documentary series to tease apart the different aspects through what they know best: architecture.
而黑潮这部电影正是企图从历史变迁中寻找台湾建筑的身份认同的可能性啊，因为建筑是空间、时间跟人间的对话，建筑是有生命的，是生活的容器，也是文化的具体呈现。
The title Deep Current is inspired by the Japanese term kuroshio, or black tide. This tide refers to a powerful North Pacific current. The architects behind this series believe this is the perfect metaphor to describe Taiwan's long history of multiculturalism. Taiwan has seen settlers from Portugal, Spain, and the Dutch East India Company in the 16th century, followed by rulers under China and Japan, and throughout this entire period, Christian missionaries. They all used the deep current to come and go, each leaving their legacy in the form of physical spaces. The 8-part series invites viewers on a journey across time, beginning in 19th century Taiwan under Japanese occupation and ending in the modern day, unpacking a wide range of buildings from neo-colonial Japanese palaces to postmodern abstract churches. The location of the premiere pays reference to Taiwan's diverse historic and architectural influences, even taking place here today at Taipei's Huashan 1914 Creative Park, previously used as a sake brewery and winery. But the main principle behind this series goes far beyond architecture.
或许从黑潮的隐喻，去理解台湾的深层流变的动态文化创意核心，我们的建筑可以摆脱意识形态的困扰，形式主义的追潮心态，回到自己的自然的环境，能够更加开放的去思考我是谁。
Through these present and left behind physical spaces, Deep Current highlights the beauty and diversity that shape Taiwan's complex architectural landscape and its multifaceted history. But most importantly, they hope that the underlying takeaway hidden deep within the current is what will resonate the most with viewers from both Taiwan and around the globe: the celebration of an ever-changing identity in a multicultural world. Howard Chang and Millie Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Episode 1 of Deep Current, Architecture of Taiwan is now available to stream on YouTube and the TaiwanPlus website. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, check out the musical Chicago, taking to the stage for one final rehearsal before opening in London. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.